What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN USD. It is the 25th day of November, and here we are at about half a cent, $0.00545. 8 hours, 47 minutes left in the day. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. Here we are at the base of this very voluptuous move to the downside since April. They say nothing moves down in a straight line, man, but this thing's been moving down. It only seems to be getting straighter as time goes on. We're hoping that we found the low. I think that we have found the low, right? I'm just making some cheap jokes here because it's really all we have. if you can't laugh at this, man, then you're crying about it, and I'd rather not cry. Looking at this here, looking at this right now from a low point, we are finding support right at prior resistance back here, and even oddly enough, all the way back at this prior support back here on the all-time history chart. Maybe there was some kind of wicked dump on Binance or something. I don't know, but finding support in this area nonetheless. If we're looking at this on the daily time frame, we did have bullish divergence to mark the low here, and we are seeing some recovery after that, right? However, we're doing the same thing that we've done really since April 11th, which is every pump that we've had has been given back into. We did expect that we'd go a little bit lower yesterday, right? That was the call. We actually came back up and closed the day green a little bit, which is nice to see, but a pretty neutral day nonetheless. I want to look at the short-term stuff and see where we're going from there. We do have higher highs here with lower highs here. That's hidden bearish divergence. Is that enough to push the price lower, or is this little retracement here, is this all that we got? And now it's time to start thinking about higher prices. Let's see. Stochastics rejecting the same area that we rejected before when we were up here. We went lower. The RSI is rejecting the 50. And the MACD overall is in trouble as well, being well below the zero here. But typically, I mean, whenever we see the oscillators down this low, let's just see what is that represented in the price. Right? Here, when the oscillators were down this low, we were at a low point. We did go lower, but it took some time. Here, when the oscillators were down this low, we were at a low point. We did go lower, but it took a little bit of time. We actually stopped our slow bleed down. So here, we're at least expecting some type of recovery. Does that mean we can't go lower? No, we could see a slightly lower price, but I think we are at a relevant low, and that makes sense that we'd be at a relative low because, again, prior areas of resistance back here, prior areas of resistance back here, and we are just above this point here. So again, going a little bit lower, maybe we interact with that exactly, and then we find support, but time will tell. We'll see how it goes. Already, you know, from a low to where we closed that week, that was a nice reaction. We pumped like 20% off the low, so that in my opinion is fine. We got close. Close is close enough sometimes. Sometimes it's just the marker of the inevitable. Maybe we do just need a slightly lower flash crash, and that could come if Bitcoin sees the lower low as well, which is also very possible. Something that we're considering. Bitcoin can see a lower low and OnyxCoin doesn't see a lower low, but that's, I think we're getting distracted now talking about all the possibilities. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame and then we'll zoom out from there. 1 hour, looking at this, I mean, it's quite obvious, right, that we broke out of our uptrend, higher lows right here, right? Now we've got lower lows and lower highs, kind of established something new. You are moving sideways here. I'm not confident that we bounce from here. In fact, I'm even surprised that we bounced here, but that was a lower high. You know what's nice is that we did kind of break this lower high structure. I mean, we're still lower highs, but we're kind of breaking the straight line of it, isn't it? Like you're breaking that here. I don't know. Maybe it's too new. Let's not lean on that. Let's not focus on that. I don't know where I was going with that. 1 hour time frame. Looking at the RSI here, definitely looking bearish at the moment, right? You're having a hard time getting overbought where before you were getting overbought. Man, you did form a downtrend and you did break out of it. Man, there are good things. There are good things. What I don't like is that you got overbought. You didn't get oversold. You broke out of your downtrend and you didn't get overbought here. Like you did, you took this whole bullish situation, you made it even more bullish, and you flopped it. You let it go. Why? Here you are bouncing at the 40, and now you're having a less positive reaction here than you did last time. Makes me think that you want to go lower. Rejecting the 50 makes me think that you want to go lower. You bounced off the 40 twice, now you've rejected the 50 twice. The odds of us bouncing off the 40 are lesser now than they were the last two times, so likely we do get oversold. Doesn't mean that we do. Anything can happen. We can bounce, but at the moment, I'm pretty confident that we do move lower. That's what the RSI is telling me. That's what the stochastics are telling me. They're pointed down. It makes sense. You're rejecting the 50. And then the MACD here. MACD's bearish. I mean, you're rejecting the 0. There's not really a whole lot to go off of there. No bullish divergence, but still bearish. Not disagreeing with the idea that we could go lower. 4 hour time frame. If we do go lower, where might we go? As I said before, we could see a slightly lower low, in which case maybe we go all the way down to 0.004, hell, even down to 0.036 potentially. And that doesn't seem too slight, but that might be, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it might be a slightly lower low, something down there. Or if we do go down that low, it'll likely be a very short-lived experience, right? Something that happens just as fast as it unhappens, like these little pump candles here, right? Golden ratio support, which is nice. You found support of the golden ratio, but now you found resistance to the 0.5. You're back at the golden ratio. Typically, you would expect the 786, 886 area to be where you go. So something at 0.0485 to 0.005 itself, something in that range, find support and then recover from there. If you can't recover, if we can't see prices that are above, from that 0.0485 to 0.005 level, if we can't recover to prices that are above 0.054, then that will likely imply that we do have lower to go rather immediately. But if we can get above this golden ratio after going below it, that implies that we have a low, that implies that we could see higher prices, and then inevitably see some recovery upwards toward 1 cent and beyond, which would be nice. But at the moment, I think it's quite obvious that we're going to go down. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we just blast through the roof from here. That'd be great. I love those kind of moments whenever I'm wrong. That would be best. But I'm not making this prediction to be wrong. Rejected the overbought zone twice. You're looking good here because you have higher lows, but you could still come down a little bit and still provide that you have higher lows. I don't mind the 4-hour RSI, but it allows for you to go a little bit lower, and that's all I'm calling for is a little bit lower. So I think this agrees with it here. If we find support at that 786, 886 area, we're likely in good shape, and we likely do move up to 1 cent, or at least 0.008 or above. Okay, the MACD on the 4-hour has crossed above the 0. Okay, we fell for it last time. Hopefully this time it's leading us true. But typically when you cross above the 0 on the MACD, you consolidate for about a day and a half to 3 days. It's been 16 candles now. 19 candles is 3 days. It can be a little bit longer. It can be a little bit longer. You know, I've started to see that it actually is more common to be more than 3 days. This is just a new thing that we've discovered. So I'm still kind of refining it, but maybe it is sometimes like as much as 5 days. Typically like a day and a half to 3 days is what we thought, and that was for a time, but it seems as though we're going 3 to 5 days lately with some cryptos. So we consolidate after the oscillators get above the 0 on the 4-hour time frame only. This doesn't work on the 1 hour or the daily, but for whatever reason on the 4-hour, when the MACD crosses above the 0, we consolidate for about a day and a half to 3 days, or at this point maybe up to 5 days. And then we rally, and the rally afterwards is bigger than the rally that brought you into this, right? This isn't really a rally. It's kind of a rally, right? Low to high, you pumped 48%. I mean, I would just expect that the next move is bigger than that. That's all I'm saying. How much bigger, I don't know. Stochastics looked like they were bouncing off the oversold zone yesterday. That was nice. That was something to get excited about, but to no avail. And now we are getting oversold. Likely we do go lower. RSI suggests we go lower, and the MACD allows for us to go lower. Daily time frame here. Rejecting the 50, come down, find support at the 40 or lower, maybe get a higher low, maybe come all the way down to the oversold zone and bounce off of that. I don't know. If we were to do that, we probably would get a lower low on a daily closing basis, but I don't know if that would put a lower low in on the price. Could we go below this low? Yeah, we might close today or tomorrow just below that daily low close there, and then get some bullish divergence, further this bullish divergence, and then send it to higher prices. Building bullish momentum on the daily MACD, but it's not really, doesn't really mean much at this point. The stochastics getting tied up at the 50 makes me think that we do go lower from here. So yeah, lower prices. Definitely expect lower prices. At the worst case scenario, we could see a lower low. Okay, be open-minded to that. We don't have to find support around 0.048, I think it was 0.0485 to 0.05. We don't have to find support there. We can find support at a lower price. And again, even going slightly lower might make a little bit of sense, because then we actually do interact at this level here. And we will only further our bullish divergence on the daily time frame. Whenever it is time to recover from whatever low we might have, assuming that this low is the low, or even if it's not, we're just going to have a slight variance. The expectation here is that we will go somewhere around 1.1 cent or likely higher. You likely do, when you go back to the 382, you likely do wick just above it. And right here we have a prior point of resistance and support back here. A little bit of turbulence back here. Something right around 1.3 to 1.4 cents. And you guys know that once we get above that level there, that's when things really start to get exciting, because 1.4 cents might not seem like a significant level, but once we get above this level here, just imagine the price is up here, we're effectively breaking out of our downtrend at that point. Okay, we effectively have higher highs for the first time since I mean really since January. So that's a big deal. I don't have anything else that I want to say. I think I've said everything I need to say. If you guys like the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Up will happen soon enough, but at the moment, we're just kind of waiting. We are waiting, and we are faithful, and we do know that the upside's going to come. We have bullish divergence on the weekly MACD. The XCN BTC chart looks ready for a massive recovery. Talking about bullish divergence here, you guys. Look at the bullish divergence on this MACD, right? Beautiful bullish divergence on the weekly MACD here, right? I mean, if you can't get on board with OnyxCoin seeing new all-time highs or any of that stuff that I'm thinking, I do think that we're going to see new all-time highs. I think our next breakout target, whenever we do start moving up, when the altcoins as a whole recover, we will see prices that are around our all-time highs, if not above. And maybe that's in January. Maybe that's by the end of the year. Who knows? Time will tell. But we're finding support here at prior resistance on the BTC chart. We're at immaculate points to find support. We have immaculate bullish divergence on the MACD here. And if you can't get on board with the idea that we'll see higher highs, at least get on board with the idea that we'll get some kind of retracement from here, from a high to a low. A standard retracement would just be to the 382, just the 382 in itself, and that would be enough to pump this thing 100% versus Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's pumping and OnyxCoin are pumping at the same time, OnyxCoin will only pump more. This is an easy 100%, and likely more. You likely do go above the 382. You don't stop there. But likely a greater than 100, probably 150% or more move that's loaded up and ready to go for OnyxCoin at any moment now. And when this happens, it's going to happen fast. And we don't have to stop there. Maybe we go higher. And if you're with me in thinking that we do see higher prices inevitably, I mean, that's a 14x versus Bitcoin. That implies much greater growth in time with OnyxCoin as well. And when I say in time, I mean like within the next 2 months. Anyways, I've got nothing else. Thank you all for being here. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.